Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another collection video. There's just news by Powerhouse Indicator, which is another spine-based Blu-ray release label, that their latest releases are going to include Michael Powell's Age of Consent, with James Mason, that he shot in Australia after he was pretty much hounded out of the UK because of Peeping Tom's terrible reaction by critics. So I just thought I would show you my collection of Indicator titles. I don't have a lot. There's a pre-order of The Collector with Terence Stamp, which is getting released in another couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to. So these are an interesting selection of films that they release. They're not maybe all my cup of tea, but I'm sure I'll get around to ordering more of them. But as you can appreciate, I've got a huge backlog to get through, and my basket in Amazon is bulging with Blu-rays currently. So I'm just go through the ones that I do have. Again, I don't have a huge collection, but it's a fairly interesting group of films, I think. So the first one is John Carpenter's Christine, and this is actually spine number 1. And again, Indicator, just like Arrow and Eureka, Masters of Cinema and Criterion, they really do a nice job with packaging and also with extras. So this has a commentary with Carpenter and Keith Gordon. It has a 48-minute 3-part making of, which is very interesting. It has 26 minutes of deleted scenes, and it also has an isolated score of John Carpenter's soundtrack. Again, if you happen to have watched my top 10 John Carpenter films, it's not my favourite Carpenter, it's still in the top 10, and it's still a nice little film. So that's spine number 1. Spine number 7 is Orson Welles' fantastic little curiosity, The Lady from Shanghai, which the rumour has it he offered to make a film to get back into the good graces of the studio, and allegedly just saw a book on a stand and pretty much just said he would make that. Whether that's true or not, as you all know, Orson Welles, sometimes the myths are larger than the man. He does have a wonderful Irish accent in this. Wonderful might be a stretch, but it's just a fantastic little curiosity. Obviously the end sequence in the Hall of Mirrors is just fantastic and has never been bettered, even though lots of people have tried. And again, another nice packaging by Indicator, and again it's got a lovely booklet. You can see that, it's a great picture of Orson Welles. And this is a DVD and Blu-ray copy, and this is spine number 7. So I mean, I do think that Indicator are beginning to get better and better in releases, and certainly their releases are fairly unique, because as we know, Eureka and Criterion sometimes have a little bit of overlap in the releases, but Indicator do seem to be singular in the releases. So this is spine number 12. This is the Anderson tapes, Sidney Lumet's wonderful little crime flick with Sean Connery, and the great Christopher Walken's first speaking part. So that's the back. Again, I do like also the pH indicator label. This is number 12, and this has a Super 8 version. It's got a commentary by a critic, and again it's got a nice booklet, and again this is the DVD and Blu-ray special edition. So this is spine 12, the Anderson tapes. This is spine number 16. It's Fritz Lang's The Big Heat with Glenn Ford and Lee Marvin, which is a fantastic noir. This has a commentary. It's Tony Raines, who, if you watch a lot of Japanese films, he does a lot of commentaries and discussions on Japanese films. It's got a 6-minute chat with Scorsese, an 11-minute chat with Michael Mann. There's an isolated soundtrack score, trailer, and again it's got a booklet, and this is the DVD and Blu-ray special edition. I also like the fact that Indicator are kind of limited edition, so this one's limited to 5,000 copies. Most of them are like 3,000 copies. So this is spine number 16, The Big Heat. This is spine 22, Fragment of Fear, with David Hemmings. And this was directed by Richard Safarian, who directed Vanishing Point, which is one of my favourite films of all time, one of the best road movies of all time. And controversially, even though it wouldn't have been made without Easy Rider, Vanishing Point's way better than Easy Rider, but that's just me being controversial. Again, this has a nice booklet, and this is the Blu-ray only edition. This is limited to 3,000 copies, and again this has a documentary about the writer. There's an interview with the AD, and again a booklet, and I've still to watch this one, so please let me know in the comments what you think of it. I'm sure it won't be as good as Vanishing Point, because that's surely not possible to be as good as Vanishing Point. This is number 67, The Wonderful Charlie Varick with Walter Matthau. It's one of the finest Matthau's as a bank robber who steals money from the mob, even though he didn't realise it was money from the mob. And it's just a great film. Joe Don Baker, Andy Robinson, who's better known as the Scorpio Killer from Dirty Harry. And again, this has a nice booklet. There's a nice picture of Walter Matthau. And this is limited edition, 3,000 copies. And it's got a documentary about the making of it. There is an audio recording of an interview with Don Siegel. There's a fantastic Guardian lecture with Walter Matthau, which is an hour and a half, and it's absolutely hilarious. There's a Super 8 version, there's a trailer, commentary, and again a 40-page booklet. And it's just one of those quintessential 70s films, and it's a quintessential Walter Matthau film. So that's spine number 67 on Indicator, the fantastic Charlie Varick. Now this is number 68, and speaking of fantastic films, this is Blue Collar, Paul Schrader's first film and his debut as Go. It's one of the best. Richard Pryor, Harvey Keitel and Yaphet Kotto are just tremendous, despite the fact they all hated each other on set, and Paul Schrader was almost like a wrangler with 3 lions trying to control them all. It's one of the quintessential films about working for a living. I think you could watch this with a double bill with Glengarry Glen Ross, and it's just about how the workplace keeps everybody fighting so they don't actually fight the bosses. Again, it's maybe been forgotten about, but it shouldn't be, because it's still relevant today. There's the booklet, nice picture of Richard Pryor in the front. You know, it's a difficult film, it's an angry film, it's controversial, but it stands up really well today. And if you haven't seen it, you know, if there's one film on the Indicator label that I would probably highly recommend that everybody should watch, it probably is Blue Collar. It's just absolutely fantastic. There's got a commentary with Paul Schrader, which is very good. There's a 106-minute BFI masterclass with Paul Schrader. There's a 1982 interview with Paul Schrader. Again, there's an introduction with Tony Raines. Yeah, there's an appreciation by Keith Gordon, who was in Christine, which I showed earlier. And again, a booklet. This is limited to 3,000 copies. So please, if you're at all interested in great films or great 70s films, please pick this up before it goes out of print. So this is spine number 68 on Indicator, Blue Collar. This is spine 73. This is Lateral Markers. This is a strange little film. This is Alan Arkin's only directing film. He also stars in it, and strangely enough, his performance might actually be the weak point in it. This stars Elliot Gould, Donald Sutherland, and it's kind of an absurdist, surrealist, black comedy. It just couldn't get made now. I'm not going to say why, but there is a scene at the end where, in the current climate and the way events have happened around the world, specifically in America, you probably couldn't get away with making this now. To me, it's an American version of Buffet Foire, or Frad even, with Gerard Depardieu, Bernard Tarvey, Bernard Bliers, kind of absurdist surrealist film. It's similar to that. It's maybe not the polished kind of perfect article, but for all its flaws, it does have moments of pure brilliance. And again, this has 2 commentaries, an introduction by Alan Arkin, and a new interview with Elliot Gould, an interview with the writer, radio interviews, trailer commentaries, again a booklet, and again this is limited to 3,000 copies. Again, I'd never seen it before. I'd only briefly kind of heard of it in interviews with Alan Arkin that you'd mentioned, but I was so excited to get it, and I'm glad I did. Again, it's not a perfect film, but there is so much good stuff in it. It's really well worth checking out, and I highly recommend checking it out. So that's spine number 73. Spine number 84 is the Desafio, which is a relatively new release. and it's a film that I haven't seen for a long time, so I'm looking forward to checking it out again. This was directed by Ronald Neame, who also directed Hopscotch, the fantastic little Walter Matthau, Glenda Jackson film. And again, this has an interview with Ronald Neame, an interview with the cinematographer Oswald Morris, an interview with a stuntman who's in it, an interview with the continuity supervisor. I don't think I've ever seen extras with the continuity supervisor, but there you go. A trailer, again a nice booklet. Here's a nice picture of John Voight, who I don't believe does a Colombian accent in this, or a Venezuelan accent in this, thank goodness. Yeah, so looking forward to checking this out again. This is number 84, the Desafio. So number 85 is the China Syndrome. Again, this is a film I haven't seen for a little while. With Jack Lemmon, Jane Fonda and Michael Douglas, and a nuclear power plant. Can't ask for more than that. Again, this has the John Player lecture with Jack Lemmon for 80 minutes, one of the extras. Looking forward to seeing that. It has an 18-minute interview with an author of Rotten to the Core, exposing America's energy media complex and the China Syndrome. A fusion of talent, nice pun. A documentary about the making of the film. A 30-minute documentary on look at the film's impact in the real life events which occurred just after its release, because there was actually a nuclear accident, which I can't remember where it was, but quite not that long after. This was made in 1979. Was it 4 Mile Island it was on? I can't remember. And again, a booklet. And there's the 3 stars. So this is spine number 85, the China Syndrome. So this is spine number 102, and this is Ministry of Fear with Ray Milland. And again, it's a Fritz Lang, and I have this because I just love Ray Milland. At some point I'll be doing a top 10 Ray Milland films. He always just has that kind of nervous energy behind his eyes, so he's always kind of paranoid and there's something going on pretty much in every one of his performances. Again, this is a limited edition of 3000. It's got an 18-minute interview with Fritz Lang from 1962, which I'll be very interested to listen to. The selected scene commentaries. Again, it's Tony Raines, who seems to be popping up on every single Criterion and Indicator extras. Has a documentary with Adrian Wooten OBE, author of the films of Graham Greene and the CEO of Films London. And again, it has a booklet. So I mean, Indicator really, I mean, they might not be catching up with Criterion and Arrow and Eureka, but they're certainly, I think they're certainly going to be in the conversation. I mean, also this is 102, and I don't have all of them. I would say I have been having problems with Amazon pre-ordering these, and then they can't actually deliver them, or they deliver them a week later. So certainly in the UK, the past couple of times I've actually just used the Indicator website, and they are pretty quick in delivering. They usually deliver, well, certainly in the UK, within a couple of days, and I think I'm going to use them moving forward rather than Amazon, because Amazon, they pre-order it but then they can't actually deliver it on the day they're released, which is quite annoying. But that's a side note. So this is number 102, Ministry of Fear. This is 106, Costa Gravas Missing, with Jack Lemmon. Another fantastic Jack Lemmon performance, and it's another Jack Lemmon film I haven't seen for some time, so I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Again, this is a limited edition of 3,000 copies. It's got a Guardian interview with Costa Gravas for 85 minutes. It's got a 116-minute Guardian interview with Jack Lemmon at the NFT in London with Jonathan Miller from 1986. It's got a Costa Gavras Cannes interview. It's got another 31-minute on Costa Gravas reflecting on the production and reception of the film. It's got several other ones. Again, Keith Gordon, who seems to be working for Indicator, with an appreciation, a trailer, and again a nice booklet with a nice picture of Jack Lemmon. So again, looking forward to, if they keep doing Jack Lemmon films, I'll be very pleased. Save the Tiger would be a good one to do next, please, Indicator. So that's number 106, Missing. And finally, but certainly not last, is a relatively new release. This is Spine 118, and this is Oleana. Now this is a special film. This is a limited 3,000 copies. It's got a new interview with William H. Macy. It's got a new interview with Deborah Eisenstadt. It has a gallery. It has a booklet. Sorry if you can see that. It's one of Mamet's masterworks, along with Homicide and House of Games. I actually saw this in the theatre with Dennis Lawson playing the William H. Macy role. It's just a fantastic film that everybody should see, and it's one of those films that causes debate. It's kind of the stagey, all talk kind of version of Audition, as far as battle of the sexes and sexual politics and which side you take. It's the story of a college professor and his student, and it's pretty much, that's the only people that are in it, and your allegiances and whose side you're on in regards to sexual harassment or taking feminism too far or not far enough, and it really depends on your own views, but then you're on one character's side up to a point, and then you go on the other character's side up to a point, and then you switch and you flip, and you pretty much do that throughout the whole film, depending on your own personal social and political views. And that's kind of what art at its best should be. It should be thought-provoking, because again, some people might be put off with it's literally two people in a room talking, but even in the theatre it was absolutely riveting, because David Mamet's language is just, he's fairly unique in his language, in the sense that he knows that people in real life repeat themselves, people don't make sense, people stop halfway between sentences, so it's not kind of formal cinema language, but it's more realistic. And again, the point of it regardless, if you watch it with anybody, you'll probably both have different views of it, or different views of who's right and who's wrong, depending on the sex of the person that you watch it with, depending on, you know, their views of men and women and the relationships between men and women. It's just a fascinating kind of social experiment to actually. I would like some days or someday to get like 100 people in a room, 50 men and 50 women, and show Oleana, and then get them to fill in cards at the end to see what they thought of it and which character they think was right and which character they think was wrong. Or it's a great film, and I'm so glad it's finally on Blu-ray and hopefully more people will see it, because as you can imagine, it's not really Saturday night entertainment on television or whatever. Yeah, it was on one of my 10 films that Criterion or Arrow or Eureka should release, and it was down to good old Indicator who released it. So that's spine number 118, and that's all the indicators I have. Like I said, I'm waiting on The Collector with Terence Stamp, which is coming out quite soon. So again, I don't have a lot of them, but I think I've got a fairly good mix of films. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have any of these films yourself, or if you've seen any of them, what do you think of them? And if you want to recommend me any more Indicator titles I should pick up, just please leave the comments below. So leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. This is Solitude Runner, Solitude Runner Films, saying thank you very much for watching, and have a nice evening.